Hello, welcome to Grow New Plants. Today I'm going to make the cross braces into wind braces for my greenhouse. I'm doing this as a separate video, that way if someone is just looking, they're doing a greenhouse, they have a greenhouse, they want to add wind braces, cross braces, and they can't figure out how to make them, this video is for you. And if it's part of the series, you're coming over and watching this from the series of greenhouse videos that I have. And I'll put a link to the series down in the description, and then I'll put a link up at the top too. So if you want to come watch how I'm building my greenhouse, if you came here just to see how I do these, then that's fine too. So what I've got is got 1 3/8 inch fence rail, and I've already cut them off, cut them with a metal bandsaw. I'm at a Dallas makerspace, and I have access to machine shop, wood shop, all kinds of stuff. It's a membership thing. You pay a membership fee. You have access to everything in here. So it's really pretty handy. I'm lucky that I have access to it. So I've already cut these off to size. On a metal bandsaw. You can cut them with a hacksaw, you can cut them with a tubing cutter. A lot of these things, if you don't have access to this machine shop, there's ways you can do this. And as we go along, I'll show you the different things that you could do, other than if you don't have the equipment that I have, I'll show you a way that you could do it with stuff you probably have home or at least have access to. So I've already made one of them up just to get everything set up. So if you look right here, I took this thing and all I've done is I smashed it flat, and then I came in and I drilled a 3/8 inch hole. And I did that 5/8 of an inch off of the end, and then I came in and I cut these corners off just to round them off a little bit. And then when I get done with all these over here, I'm gonna take them to the other side of the shop, and then I'll grind all this down smooth where it's not sharp, no sharp edges or anything on there. So I'm gonna get reset up and we'll start smashing these things, and then we'll drill the holes and we'll cut the corners off. Okay, so the first thing I need to do, I need to go on each end of these pipes, and I need to make a mark 2 inches off of the end. So I'm just going to take a marker and go along all these pipes and make a 2-inch mark. And this is just from experimenting with some spare pipe when I first started doing these to see what worked best, and this worked out good. So I'm going to make these 2-inch marks on both sides, and then we'll go over to the press, and then we'll start smashing them flat. Okay, so the first step in this is going to be to smash the ends of these flat. And this is just a big press, and I've got access to it. If you don't have one of these, you could do this with a vise. You could come in with a big vise with big enough jaws, and you could just stick these things into that vise. Probably be a 2-man operation or 2-person operation. You just stick that in there and then clamp it down with a vise. You could probably even do it with a sledgehammer. It's probably not going to be near as pretty, but if you got access to one of these, it definitely works well. So I've got this thing, I've got this little stand lined up where this thing is flat in here, so when it bends evenly. The bend is not one way or the other, it's flat with the pipe. So I got all this set up, and I just wanted to show you the setup, and then I'll move in closer and I'll actually show you the press. And I'll do 1 or 2 real time, and then we'll do fast forward through the rest of them. Okay, so if you see right here, hopefully you can see it. Right here is my 2-inch mark. So what I want is, the first one is not as critical as far as where it is, as far as getting it. You want to make sure that your 2 pressed ends are the same on each end, and I'll show you that here in just a second. So I just make an adjustment on this. I get this thing where it's kind of holding some pressure on it, and then I have this big breakaway arm up here, and then I just pull down on that brake arm, and there it is flat. And then after that, I kind of lift it up a little bit because it doesn't quite catch those corners. I just give it another little push. Another little push. So now I have a nice flat piece. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take it, I'm going to flip it around to the other end, and as I do that, I'm going to make sure when I get this thing lined up in here, I don't want to make sure the other end is not like that or like that, that I want it as parallel to the ground as I can get it. So I'm going to flip it around, crank this thing back up. I just got a little bit of pressure on here, so I'm going to go down here to the other end. Okay, so I'm going to take this end and adjust it where it's flat. So I got that flat. Okay, so I got my other end flat, and I'm on my 2-inch mark here. So I'm ready to go ahead and crush this end. And you see I missed a little bit right there, but it's not a big deal. All I gotta do is just crank it up, scoot it over a little bit, smash it back down too. And I hit my corners good. Okay, so there's one board, or sorry, one board. There's one post done. I got it flat on both ends. Here's the other end. So I'll go ahead and do the rest of these. I'll just time lapse through the rest of them. We'll get them all flat, and then we'll go cut the holes in them. Okay, so I've got all my braces. This is the one that I'd already halfway finished. So I got my 6 wind braces. I've got my other 2 already done and on the greenhouse right now. And then my 2 cross braces. They're all flat on both ends. Each end is parallel. And if that's what I was trying to show you, it's hard to show you on the video. It's like where this end is flat here, I want this end to be flat the same way, where they're not. Basically, I don't want the two flats to be twisted. So anyway, so I got this done, so let's move over to the drill press and we'll drill the holes in them. Matter of fact, before I do that, I'm going to set up and I'm going to go ahead and mark all my holes. Okay, the next thing I need to do is I'm going to mark my holes. So after these things are flat, these things are right at 2 inches. So what I do is I make a mark at 1 inch with this, sorry, I can't talk with a cap in my mouth. So I make a mark at 1 inch, and then I come back from the end, and then I make a mark at 5/8 of an inch. So right there is my 5/8 from the end, 1 inch from each side. So that's where I want to drill my hole. Okay, so I'm over on the drill press now. And again, as I've said earlier, with these things, you can do this with a hand drill. You can do it with a drill. If you've got a little small drill press at home, you can do it with that. So what I've got it set up in a vise to hold it still. And I've got back here, it's hard to see, but I've got my little stand, the same stand I use on the other end to keep this thing level. So I've got it clamped into a vise. Use a little bit of oil. There's one hole. I'll just loosen my vise up, spin this thing around the other way, same mark. On this one, hopefully, if I don't move my vise, my hole should line up pretty well, which it did. So, all right, so that's good right there. So I'll just clamp my vise back down. Double check them and get them. Yeah, and these don't have to be perfect, man. They, they can be off 1/8 of an inch or so. It's not going to make any difference. Probably even more than that. Okay. So there's another one all ready to be have the corners chopped off now. So okay, so I got all my holes drilled now. And this, I may sound stupid here, I'm pretty sure this is called a brake. So basically, this thing here, I can put this in here and I can cut these corners off. Because I could grind them off, but that's a lot of work. So I'm going to cut the majority of these corners off. And I'm just eyeing these in here. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. All I'm doing, cutting these corners off to make clearance for these things to manipulate around when they're being put onto the greenhouse. So I'm just going to go somewhere along the line, straight up and down on the edge of that hole. pops it right off. Okay, so I'll do this other side, same way. Okay, so now I got that. So I'll do the other end, and I'll just fast forward through it. And this right here, if you don't have this, you can do it. I've done the other ones. The first ones I made, I did with a metal bandsaw. And that works good. If you don't have a metal bandsaw, you could cut them off with a regular hacksaw, or you could do it with a jigsaw, something like that. Or you could, if you just got a grinder, you could just grind the whole thing down. There's ways to do this if you don't have this equipment, but if you have access to it, this is a good, easy way to do this. So I'll go ahead and fast forward through the rest of these. Okay, so I got all these corners taken off, so all I need to do now is just take them, we'll put them on the grinder and put them on the sander, knock all these edges off, get the burrs off of them, and they're ready to put on the greenhouse. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I've got a big grinder wheel here, and I'm just going to take these sharp corners off, kind of round this off at the tip a little bit. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I'll just do 2 of them, and then we'll go over and put them on the sander, and then these things will pretty much be finished. Because now I've just got a belt sander, and all I'm going to do is just take the burrs off of this. So let's go ahead. I'll go ahead and finish these 2 on that too, and then we'll take a look at all of them being finished. Okay, I've got them all done now. So I've got my holes. That hole there wasn't centered real good, but it's not going to really make any difference. Like I said, if I was doing a ton of these, I could make a jig and make everything line up perfect, but these are more than good enough. So I got them smashed, got my holes, got them ground and sanded, so they're ready to put up on the greenhouse. They're really not that hard to make. They're, like I said, they're expensive, they're hard to find. So if you got the stuff to make them, they're really not that hard to make. So, and if you want to watch, if you're just watching this, learning how to make these braces, if you want to check out my greenhouse build videos, they're going to be, there'll be a link down in the bottom and a link up at the top. And go ahead and check it out. I'm showing step by step how I build my greenhouse in my backyard. So pretty much all handmade or homemade. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. Please like, please subscribe, please share my videos. Thank you.